Welcome to the Bigger Room Podcast. I'm your host, Jill Bender.
And I'm Mel Cobian. And today we're going to talk about why reading self-help books just isn't enough.
That is very interesting. So I used to think it was enough. No, I didn't. I kind of did.
You kind of did.
I wanted it to be enough.
Yeah, it's like, I think that's the intent behind people reading these books. It's like, I'm going to read this book that somebody recommended and it's going to change my life. And then you close the book and maybe some things do change, but we have to take action, right? That is what's going to separate these two things apart. What's the last book you read?
Actually, I'm really excited about this book that I'm currently listening to, and it is like a self-help kind of thing, and it's called Rich as Fuck.
What are the takeaways so far?
I guess, you know, after you listen to so many of them, they all pretty much have the same message about how the law of attraction, how you need to be open to receiving money, and or whatever you want if you're looking to get married or whatever it is. I don't know if she has any secret tips that I have never heard before, but so far it seems pretty standard. The only thing that I could say is by listening to different versions of it, sometimes it triggers something new in my brain where I'm like, ooh, that makes way more sense, even though I just heard it from the last guy. So far, it's a really good book.
Yeah, that's a great example of... You really like it? That's a great example of how you become a new... You know, reading books does play a role in you know, just having that growth mindset. So next time you hear it, but you just said something really cool, that almost all of these books have the same takeaways in their own way. So why is it that we keep looking for that next self-help book? We keep trying to read that next book because we believe that those answers are in the books. But everything that people want to hear has already been said since like the beginning of time. But people are waiting for that magic sauce. Like there must be a secret out there that I don't know, and that's why things aren't working out my way. So again, we look for those external factors to make things happen in our life, but really it's that internal space that we need to go into doing the work. So if you're reading all these books, but you're not taking the action, do you really know? Did you even read the book?
And I will confess, there are several of these books that I have listened to over time, and they have activities, but I like to listen to my stuff when I'm laying in bed and it's going to wind me down, and I just like go into the zone of whatever this book is, but I don't ever do the activity. Well, not never, but I rarely do the activity. Because the light's off, I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and then I don't remember what it was. I'm like, what did they say? They told me to do 5 things. I remember one of them.
Yeah. The book I'm reading right now is called the Energy Codes, or Energetic Codes, the Energy Codes. And earlier I told you about that workshop, and this is part of the activity, attending that 3-day workshop. So if you want a book that has a ton, well, first of all, you have to be into it kind of thing. But I love books that have workshops, for books that have activities.
The book before this book, I had ordered. I went on Amazon and I ordered the workbook that's supposed to go with it. And I don't remember what happened. I know that workbook's sitting on the shelf. Like, I have not even looked at it one time. And I don't even know what the name of the book is now, or if I finished it.
But this is good, because what we're talking about, doing the work, is just, again, that reminder that life is a classroom. That's what your life is. It's the classroom. Are you going to take the lesson? Are you going to implement? Are you going to do the homework? So most people are just like, yeah, I'll read the lecture, and then when a life event shows up, a test, right? That really is a test that the universe is giving you to see if you truly are going to change as a person, if you truly learn the lessons that you've been working to read, right? So if you start looking at it that way, at least that's how I see my life. Okay, life is a classroom. If something happens, I don't blame external factors or have that victim mentality. I draw in, and it's like, okay, this is a test. How do I deal with this situation? And sometimes I fail, and it's like, okay, what's the learning lesson that I can take away? And that is the type of work that I feel a lot of people aren't implementing in their life. They just now go to that next book and that next book, waiting for, again, that magic sauce. Like, what's the magic words that I need to hear to, hypnotize myself into being a better person, or just, dealing with life easier.
So these books have been very beneficial for me over the last, like I've mentioned it before, January 2023 is when whatever changed in my brain. And then I learned how to attract money, and I learned how to attract all these amazing things into my life. And that was from the book. I was taking action. And so I keep thinking with these new books that have popped up, that they're almost like, there's kind of like I don't know what it would be, but like a sign that I need to go a little deeper, maybe.
Go deeper.
Because I hadn't had any activities before where, no, I don't remember any activities before. I don't know if that's like a newer thing or what, but I have yet to not. Okay, I think I don't not implement them, because I do. Like, I change the way I journal something, or I get up and I make a list the next day based on what they said. I just don't sit and do all of them, because some of them I am already doing because I learned it before. I am an action taker. I know you are. I know you are. And I've noticed that when people are going through a change in their life, whether it's, okay, our brain is like a computer program. And so every time you're inputting information you truly are upgrading your computer. You're upgrading your thoughts. You're upgrading what you're willing to tolerate. You're upgrading your standards in life. And the amount of energy it takes to become a better version of yourself is draining. It is so draining. Sometimes I'd read books or, do these workshops, and then I just like want to sleep for 2 days, because the upgrading that's happening is just so draining. But then, the time goes by and I'm like, okay, cool. And then chase the next high. I feel like that's what it is. Yeah, I have a fish tank sitting behind me, Mel.
Yeah, exactly. You're chasing knowledge, and now you have, for those of you watching on YouTube, Jill just bought a fish tank.
I just bought a saltwater tank. Again, this is in the way. But I bought a saltwater tank. I'm like super excited about it. I should have the light on the back, but the snails don't love it. So.
Did you read that last night?
I have watched about 200 videos on this. And I could do a whole podcast on the damn tank.
Maybe you should. It's like a solo episode today, guys. So that is 100% why just simply reading books isn't going to be enough. You have to do the work. Jill, and maybe you may have examples. I know you have a lot of stories. You can always think of something. There are people living life here, like, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 30-year-olds, and they're living life from the lens of something that happened when they were like 7 years old. So that's like a perfect example of somebody reading the self-help books, trying to, heal whatever happened in the past, but they still haven't done the work to not live their life from traumas or whatever happened when they were a kid.
Oh, yeah, I 100% have an example of that with me, and that goes back to January 2023. The book that I was listening to, they were telling me, like, that I had to go deeper and go back to, it wasn't even go back to your childhood kind of deep. It was, I know what it was. It was truly forgive, like, everybody that you're holding anything against. And I don't even like saying it out loud, but it's always been my sister. Like, my sister, 100%. I have blamed her for so much in my life. And I probably need more healing, because a lot of it... But it's also how I react to it. So in January 2023 is when it was so hard. I remember laying in bed, and I think I was writing it into a journal, and I'm like, just forgive her. Just put it on paper that you forgive her. Say it out loud. And you know how in movies and stuff where like the people can't say I love you is so hard, and they keep tripping over the words or whatever. That's how it was going for me, trying to just forgive her and release that. That was a huge, huge, huge one. And if anybody doesn't know my story, the following month is when I totally broke free and made $47,000 in 1 month. And I really, really, really believe it was because I released that.
You let go
thing. Yeah.
That is amazing. But that's an energy block. You know, you had anger. So some people have anger, they have fear, they have doubts. And those are the things that, so I was told this amazing analogy, and it's that all of us, it's funny, I actually have a reel being posted today about that, is everybody's on this path driving their own car, right? And we all have a different destination. We all have different goals, but we're all on the same life path. And some people keep looking in their rear view mirror to the past, to the past, to the past, and looking at their fears, looking at their anger. And sometimes it's just, it like takes over and it's just too much. It's way too much. So then people jump out of the car, and then your vision changes. You're like, maybe I don't need to go down that path. Maybe I don't need to, have this extraordinary life, because you would rather, not deal with the fear. You would rather not deal with the doubt. So just let that sink in, right? Reading the books in that moment, you have those epiphany moments of, oh yes, this is right. This is what I need to do. And then life gives you a test and you don't do the work. So that is a perfect example of what can happen when you actually take action. Simply just, writing it in your journal was the action, but your body, your physiology changed. Like your entire, like that's the thing, physiology, like you can feel your body change. And you were
so much.
Yeah. That radiated clearly. I love when I hear stories like that. Yeah.
My whole life changed. And my family's pretty close. So we get together probably once or twice a month. It used to be a lot more. It used to be like every weekend. And before that happened, I pretty much spent most of the time hanging out, like just hating my sister. And I love her, but also hating her. And and just sitting miserable anytime she's in the room, like, oh great, okay, here she is, kind of thing. And I hope she never freaking hears this, but because she won't understand. Like, she definitely would have never. She probably she knows that I had issues, but she probably didn't know how awful they were. But then after I did that releasing and just put it on paper, the next time I went over there and she was there, I just didn't even care. I was like, oh, she's here, whatever. It doesn't even bother me anymore. I've already released it. And that was the best year of my life. Like, that was amazing.
Until you no longer have triggers, you're not free. If something triggers you in life, you are not free. And let that be the test. Realize that it's a test for you to do the work. And now, and you did it. Which is why you weren't triggered anymore. And there's this other analogy that someone told me that kind of changed my life, because when I used to get upset or any type of emotion that was against what I wanted to feel, is if that person said the same exact thing to you in a different language, would that have hurt your feelings? And the answer is no, because I wouldn't know what they said, which means that I gave value to their words. I defined what those words meant to me, because the message of their words didn't change. It was just that I understood, therefore I gave it meaning to me and allowed it to hurt my feelings. And I know this is probably like a little wild for people who are stuck, and I hate to say it, but there's really no other word around it, is the victim mindset. On the other side of that coin of being and having that victim mindset is your genius self. The version. Go ahead. I was just gonna say the genius version of you that's ready to take that on. So it's one or the other.
Hey Mel, why don't you explain to our listeners what the victim mindset is? Because we do mention it every once in a while, and let's let them understand that.
Yeah. So for me, the understanding of victim mindset that I have, maybe you have a different explanation, Jill, but the victim mindset that I have is somebody who sometimes isn't even aware. Most of the time, they're not aware that they are living their life from a victim mindset. Somebody who doesn't take accountability for where they are because they can't see how powerful they are. So it's in their mind, it's easier to blame external circumstances. Like oh, I could never do that because of the way I grew up. Like, that's in the past.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing you can do about it. Or that, that could never happen to me. I could never do that. Or it's because of something else. It's because of where I live. Anything other than you. Anything
you're
other
blaming
than
it.
you. Yeah. And what I've noticed is when I talk to people and they mean well, their goals are super strong, they understand their why, but they're still not in that growth mindset. They're still in that victim mindset, and it holds them back because when things happen in their life, it's like, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that, and it's like, it doesn't matter. No one, that doesn't matter. That's victim mindset. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, if you look at my example, perfect example, I thought I was the victim that all my life. 47. Didn't realize it was 40, 45 technically.
100%. I mean, I went through it too, right? Well, it's because of how I grew up, where I grew up, and I broke through those walls. It was a lot of work though, realizing that it's like nobody's gonna come rescue you. Nobody. Just like the books aren't gonna change your life, you have to do the work.
Yeah. So let's get back on topic. I can say that I have recommended these kinds of books over the last year and a half now to so many people. And you can tell if they actually implemented or if they're just looking for the next book, because that one wasn't the one that, did it for them, but
it wasn't the magic keywords.
Wasn't the magic keywords.
Yeah. I had a vulnerable mastermind call this week with my group of mastermind because the energy was just so low. You could call it the energy in the universe, the energy in their life. And then when somebody's energy is down, again, not their fault. We're human. It happens. But knowing when to come out of those cycles and again, take the learning lesson from it. I kind of just spoke to them for a while, and it was just very nice to, just again, go back to that place of compassion. You can't be angry with yourself for what those circumstances in your life are. You have to face it with compassion. And I recommended a guided meditation, which again, a lot of people aren't ready for that, right? For a lot of people, it's books, and then maybe meditation, and then maybe some workshops. For people, it's podcasts, because books just aren't for them. Like, they just can't sit down and read them. So how many podcasts are you going to listen to? How many books are you going to listen to? How many meditations are you going to go into, or workshops? And wait for that magic switch to go off. You need to do the work. If you're just showing up to those things and not doing the work, it's not enough.
Especially if you keep going for that next book and then next book and then next book. Yeah. Stop yourself right now. Take this episode here as like your sign. You need to stop and say, hey, have I truly been implementing any of it? I promise you it is going to change your world if you let it, but you have to be willing to do something for it to happen.
Don't buy any more books. Ask yourself, and you'll know you haven't implemented work, especially if you read some of these books, because again, the lessons are pretty much the same. There is no secret. The secret is taking action and believing that you can accomplish anything. Right. And if you still have triggers in your life, you have work to do. Start seeing your life as a classroom, and those triggers and things that do happen in your life as lessons and an opportunity for you to be a better person, an opportunity for you to work through it and go into the growth mindset, and it will change your life.
Yes, it will. And then let us know. Let us know your breakthrough.
Let us
when
know.
You have it. Send us a message.
Yeah. Please do. Those things excite me when I read them. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we would love it. And if you want us to share it on an episode, let us know if that's okay too. We will definitely do that. Yeah.
That's the biggest takeaway for the Bigger Room today. Make sure you leave us a review if you really enjoyed this episode.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram @TheBiggerRoom. And send us a message. Say hi. Let us know you started following us and you did it because you listened to whatever episode. This one in particular. We'll see you in the next one.